Malaysia Tzu Chi volunteers help refugees to lessen their life burdens while fighting the epidemic. Hualien and Taichung Tzu Chi hospitals welcome the medical volunteers back to continue their services. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Maggie Tsai. Thank you for joining us. During the epidemic prevention period, many industries were forced to suspend work. Refugees who suddenly lost their jobs were unable to receive government subsidies and live a harder life. Hence, Tzu Chi volunteers visit them to distribute living subsidies, hoping to help them pass through the difficulties.
7529 782
五户啊
5户是第5户是单中独救的
The movement restriction order has been implemented for more than 2 months. Refugees are facing income cut-off. After caring for them by phone call, Tzu Chi volunteers visit them to distribute living subsidies.
Before I have a job to pay for daily expenses, but now I don't have work. I can't even afford to buy food for myself and pay for my kids' fee, which is about $300. I can only pay back the money I owe slowly.
The $300 is his child's medical expenses. He also needs to worry about the food of the family. The subsidy given by Tzu Chi is indeed a timely assistance.
Now I have the subsidy, I'm very happy. If I don't have the money, I won't know what to do. I really thank you very much.
At the distribution site, volunteers also share the benefits of vegetarianism with the refugees and invited them to do recycling together after the movement restriction order is over.
Empty jars, old newspapers, we all collect them because they can be reused. You can invite your friends to come.
We need to eat more vegetables and reduce meat consumption.
The most important thing about donating money is your willingness. It doesn't matter how much you donate. We will be grateful.
Putting money to the corn bank, refugees turn from care recipients to caregivers. It is hoped that these bits of love will continue to help other people in need.
Malaysia has been under the movement restriction order for near 3 months now, and many of those workers who get paid by the day have not been able to return to work, which further burdens their families' finances. Tzu Chi is reaching out to schools to help families in need of assistance to pay for school tuition, and in total help 445 families with financial aid.
The streets as well as the businesses are empty of people, while even construction has stopped. Under the lockdown, many people's lives are affected.
My income depends on how long a house is built. If it takes a week, then I'll get a week's pay. I only get paid when the house is complete.
With their income suspended, families like this one are having a difficult time finding money to pay for their 4 children's tuition.
是嘉诚的对，我是嘉诚。我是慈济的落实兄因为这个行管有延长所以我们还会再帮助你咯。
Tzu Chi reached out to 49 junior and elementary schools to see about offering tuition assistance.
看得出有些老师蛮有爱心
We can see that the teachers are very observant. They knew right away which families are in need of assistance, and they quickly gave a list of 10 to 20 names.
Under the circumstances, direct depositing into their bank account is good because it lessens the chance of contact between people. We are grateful Tzu Chi can help these families because some of them really need assistance.
Over 400 students have received this financial aid, and the students write letters of thanks in show of their appreciation, while some film a video to thank Tzu Chi.
谢谢慈济的帮忙，让我从上升女学，谢谢你们。
这笔钱我会用来努力学习，谢谢大家。
Volunteers in China have suspended regular monthly visits due to the epidemic, only recently restarting such visits. Tzu Chi volunteers in Dongguan visited the care recipients who were very happy to see the volunteers. They seized a chance to tell the volunteers about their recent difficulties.
Because of the epidemic, Tzu Chi volunteers in blue and white uniforms haven't appeared in the alleys of Dongguan for a long time. This day they went there again. Mrs. Pan seized the opportunity to tell them everything in her heart.
My husband fell on the ground and hurt his back. Now he is in the hospital. I'm so worried.
Mr. Pan has been paralyzed in bed, and now he hurt his back. His wife was very worried. Volunteers kept comforting her and eventually settled Mrs. Pan's heart. Mrs. Pan, who lives by picking up recycled materials on weekdays, also took volunteers to see the results of her work.
Wow, bottles, cans, paper, you can call 1357. I can see how great you did from this courtyard.
The volunteers' praise made Mrs. Pan show a long-lost smile. The volunteer also gave her a better suggestion at the same time.
Putting those iron cans in one basket while these PET bottles in another one. This kind of sorting can be sold at a better price.
The younger daughter of another household, Liu Bingsen, suffers from mental illness. In the past, she was not able to do any housework, but now she can slowly cook and clean, making her mother, who has long been taking care of her, feel relieved.
When we came at the beginning, you were worried that she didn't have enough to eat, to wear, and that she knew nothing about housework. Now she can take care of herself, so you can be relieved.
The improvement of her daughter made Mrs. Liu a little relieved, but now she is worried that she and her husband are about to retire, and the family income would become a big problem. Volunteers promised to give them timely assistance whenever necessary.
As a result of the coronavirus epidemic, Tzu Chi volunteers were unable to visit a Wugu senior citizens' home for nearly 6 months. Recently, they had their first visit since the epidemic started, inviting an Erhu team to perform for the upcoming Dragon Boat Festival.
This was the first time both groups met since the start of the epidemic. It was difficult for each group to hide their excitement.
Because of the epidemic, it happened that we couldn't visit this Wugu senior citizens' home for half a year. I am very happy that the epidemic situation has slowed down and gradually lifted. They have also welcomed us Tzu Chi volunteers to continue carrying on this activity.
It's been a long time since the two sides have not seen each other, and even the teacher for this Erhu band missed the elders.
For several years, we almost come over here every month for a show. The show in March was delayed until today. Although I'm busy with the show working with both hands, and I have to wear a mask, so I can't show them how happy I am with my expression. Still, I hope to use my eyes to convey happiness and show them how I feel.
With the upcoming Dragon Boat Festival, handmade zhongzi dumplings and fragrant sachets with auspicious blessings were brought to the elderly.
This is for Grandpa and Grandma to take it back and put in the room. It is quite fragrant and can't be eaten. On the other hand, it's also a sort of simple DIY activity for the elderly to do.
Because of the epidemic, Tzu Chi volunteers were not able to come to the senior citizens' home. This made me feel a little lost. Now that the epidemic situation has improved a lot, everyone can come again, and it brings joy to all of us.
After a long time, there is finally a happy reunion, and with everyone doing some simple exercise, the depression felt by these elders during the epidemic will fade away, as volunteers promise to come every month to be with them.
Now that the epidemic is lessening, Tzu Chi volunteers came to Hualien, Wanrong Township to care for care recipients in the tribal community. Today they came to Mr. Lai's house to greet his family after a few months break. Volunteers drove into the deep mountain and passed through the trails to visit care recipient Mr. Lai's house. His left eye has poor vision and his left arm was injured. Nevertheless, he still makes a living with poor body condition by making bamboo brooms.
I picked up the bamboo at the bamboo forest there. I didn't just use my one hand, but I also used my feet to push it. I used both my hands and feet to tighten the wire.
The visitations was paused for several months due to the epidemic. Now the volunteers come here again. Grandma Zhang finally has someone to talk to.
I saw it was bleeding, and it has continued bleeding till now.
She has got 2 holes at the bottom of her feet, and it won't heal due to diabetes. Now she goes to Mennonite Christian Hospital every month.
Volunteers visited every household and everyone felt joyful and relieved to see each other after a few months' break. Taiwan has announced partial releasing of movement restriction orders on June 7th. Tzu Chi Hospital in Hualien and Taichung both welcome medical volunteers to return to their posts joyfully. Let's join their happy reunions. After 97 days of the pandemic, Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital welcomed the first group of medical volunteers back.
最需要的就是志工，很感恩志工。
Now we need volunteers the most, and I'm grateful to them. The Buddha said that one can't go to heaven before hell is freed. Our volunteers will always be here as long as the patients are in the hospital.
Medical staff gave 28 volunteers protective face shields and fresh flowers to show the lasting great love. Volunteers were happy to return to the hospital, and they haven't forgotten about their work protocols.
Wear a smile and speak nice words. Be humble, clever, and keep a sharp eye. That's how we can serve the public.
The doctors treat the illnesses and volunteers comfort their emotions. Working together, they safeguard the patient's physical and mental health.
We accompany the patients and listen to him so he can express his feelings, and then we can guide him to change his mindset.
Taiwan has done a great job to prevent the pandemic. Volunteers return to the hospitals to spread the power of warmth and continue to serve people in need. After 3 months of rest, medical volunteers in Taichung Tzu Chi Hospital also returned to their posts.
One must have a goal so you can continue to progress and integrate.
Superintendent Jian Shouxing and medical staff have written a letter to express their sincere gratitude to welcome the volunteers to return to continue their services.
Our colleagues missed you all because you are a bodhisattva that has infinite abilities. As we've gradually controlled the pandemic, we hope to see the volunteers go back to our hospital to continue comforting the patients. We're extremely joyful to see them again. We indeed need them very much. We're extra grateful to them now.
Now that Taiwan's epidemic situation is lessening, volunteers reunited with medical personnel, patients, and their families like a big family. Everyone wants to say to them, "It's good to have you here." In China, Beijing Tzu Chi volunteers promoted garbage sorting and making enzymes at a community recycling campaign. In Jiangsu, Suzhou, and Kunshan, volunteers invited children to raise awareness of vegetarianism through paintings. On the World Environment Day, Beijing Tzu Chi volunteers were invited to promote recycling at the Jianxiyuan community.
When we are organizing this promotion campaign, we hope to raise awareness of recycling and sorting garbage in our community. That way, our residents can be great role models in lessening and sorting garbage.
Volunteers demonstrated how to turn disposed fruit peels into enzymes. Many people were interested in it and are willing to practice it at home.
I said I didn't waste my time coming here to learn about how to make the enzyme because it is my favorite, which can turn something useless into gold. I will go home and make this. I got a bucket that holds about 10 kgs, and I can make more to share with my neighbors. We hope everyone can learn about sorting garbage. I'm not doing this for the government, but for myself. We should form a good habit and raise a new awareness.
In Jiangsu, this green power was presented through over 1,500 children's paintings. Volunteers invited the award receivers to express their insights on the live stream platform.
If
I didn't attend this event, I wouldn't know that eating a vegetarian diet is good for our health, and it can also protect the environment.
Hopefully, all of our young creators and the future participants can become the light that spreads vegetarianism and positively impact more people, so our society and Earth can all become better.
Every painting represents children's worries and expectations of the environment. Hopefully, this influence can be spread far and broad so that every corner in the world can be enlightened to love the earth. Yongli Recycling Station in Yonghe was transformed into an outdoor vegetarian cooking school. The former live seafood chef Tsai Chi developed an inner fear for animals and hence turned to be a vegetarian and applied his excellent cooking skills to vegetarian dishes.
The sound of sorting of plastic bottles is continuously heard, while on the other side comes the smell of cooking vegetable from time to time.
I'm preparing the dish of braised tofu.
Yongli Recycling Station has been transformed into an outdoor vegetarian kitchen. The chef Tsai Chi was once a seafood chef. The fear of killing live seafood left a shadow in his heart.
When I was killing the lobster, it screamed loudly. At that moment, I didn't want to kill it anymore. I don't want to develop a bad affinity with all living beings. Because of this, I turned to be a vegetarian.
Since then, he started making vegetarian dishes. He can still apply his excellent cooking skills and can also teach others.
Cooking at home is relatively simple, like this. I can learn how to mash the carrot and set a plate here, so it can come in handy sometimes.
I learned to cook some vegetarian dishes for my family. After eating once, twice, or 3 times, they will be touched. In the end, they'll continue to eat vegetarian food.
The 4 dishes and 1 soup are colorful and tasty. It is hoped that the power of vegetarian food can be extended further from the recycling station.
42-year-old Wu Jing'an has run the business of pork rice for many years, and the business was very good. As he handled dozens of pounds of pork every day, his hands always carried the smell of meat, which could not be washed away. He felt uncomfortable, so he went to Jing's Hall in Taichung to learn to cook vegetarian food. 1 year later, he became the assistant chef of a well-known vegetarian restaurant.
The potatoes are shredded and fried quickly. Its crispness is dependent on the skill of the chef.
It all depends on the fire. You need to control the fire well.
42-year-old Wu Jing'an is the assistant chef of a well-known vegetarian restaurant in Taichung, but he has only 2 years of experience in cooking vegetarian food. In the past, he owned a ribs takeaway in Yunnan, and the business was terrific.
There were at least 300 meal boxes sold every day. We must touch the pork ribs and liver with our hands every day, so our hands would always carry the smell of meat, which could not be washed away. Sometimes when I slept, I would smell the taste of meat. When my hands were closer to my nose and mouth, it seemed like something was following me.
The horrible feeling made Wu Jing'an raise the idea of stop killing animals. Owing to a good affinity, he went to Jinshi Hall in Taichung to learn to cook vegetarian food from volunteer Zhang Songyue.
During my lesson, I especially noticed him. He cut vegetables very nice. If some young people are willing to learn to cook vegetarian food, I will teach him more, because he will bless many others.
After learning the cooking skills from the volunteer, Wu Jing'an went to a famous vegetarian restaurant in Taichung to work as a trainee.
When I first came, I experienced a great shock since what we cooked was not qualified.
He was very practical and wanted to learn from the beginning because all presentations here are completely different from what they did before.
In less than a year, he was promoted from trainee to assistant chef of the restaurant, which was affirmed by his boss and also proved that he survived this transfer period.
Now we cook vegetarian food every day. At least we don't kill animals so we can sleep well at night.
Now he leads the team to develop good vegetarian dishes, turning over people's stereotypes of vegetarianism.
Use our experience to motivate more people to cook vegetarian food and be vegetarian so that there won't be much animal slaughter.
Before computerized ticket sales, how were paper railway tickets printed? The ticketing center in Zhongli, Taoyuan was once the center of such ticketing, producing some 500,000 copies a day. Currently, the center still retains movable type printing, which many machines being in operation since the Japanese colonial era. Sadly, this tradition is passing into history as only the process of commemorative tickets now remains.
This locked glass cabinet is full of yellowed train tickets.
When we print tickets, the last one must be left as a sample.
Tickets for the entire Taiwan Railway and even stations that have disappeared from public view are still stored here.
This is the oldest one from 1958, and it still has a marking on the back.
The small ticket has witnessed history and accompanied countless passengers to reach their destination safely. The Ticket Center in Zhongli is the hometown of these paper tickets.
The era before computer ticketing meant that the actual ticketing center of Taiwan Railways was here, as we shoulder the heavy responsibility of printing all the tickets.
Tickets for all the train stations in Taiwan were printed here. Several ticket-cutting machines have never stopped running since the Japanese colonial era.
Sometimes it can easily stop as the bell sometimes comes off.
Old machines require extra care when it comes to repairs and maintenance.
There are a lot of holes requiring oil. If it runs out of oil, it will get stuck and worn down. Special parts may be needed, or an outside leather is needed.
It's not only the machinery, but also the movable type printing system are preserved for nearly a century. Small typefaces kept densely packed cabinets with starting stations, fares, and serial numbers all done by this master.
You see, this stalk is very thin and very small when we are printing. It is inevitable that some small stalks may not be printed, marking the tickets flawed as it cannot be used.
The quality of printing depends on the eyes of these old masters. This master with more than 20 years of experience is even more proficient.
When we first came, we needed to learn every step, so we have to learn how to cut and print tickets.
Each machine requires human oversight for a whole day. During the heyday, the master printers had to produce 500,000 copies a day, which was quite difficult.
At that time, when I came in, almost 100 people had to work overtime every day. But now, because of the relatively small amount of tickets, we have only 10 people left doing this work.
The peak of these printed tickets has passed, as since 1984, with the introduction of computer ticket sales, printing volume here has decreased year by year. Now the center is only responsible for printing commemorative tickets. With efforts to make the Hualien Railway go underground, this center faces the sad fate of demolition.
We will find another place to rebuild a ticket center and move all of these old machines there.
While the location may be different, the precious technology will be preserved. With dozens of staff continue to work, the traditional process will remain.
This is an asset of our people. We have an obligation and responsibility to maintain this ancient technology and make sure there is a safe transition.
June 9th, the Railroad Day, is also Taiwan Railway's 133th anniversary. This year, frontline personnel were awarded to praise their dedication to serve the public during the epidemic. Take a look and see you next time.